Before I get started, I'd like to kindly ask that you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel for more content just like this.
All I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
You know, this story got me thinking, what if Francis Ford Coppola used the Deadpool-style inner monologue in The Godfather? It might look something like this.
It's true. I have a lot of friends in politics. But they wouldn't be so friendly if they knew my business was drugs instead of gambling, which they consider a harmless vice. But drugs, that's a dirty business.
This is the moment when old Verge knew he was barking up the wrong fucking money tree. Considering I was reading all that off a piece of paper taped to his chest, I think I handled it pretty well. Wait, did I leave the stove on? So I came across this article on Screen Rant, which is a site I try to avoid like the plague if possible. But when you read a headline that says Francis Ford Coppola thought Deadpool was amazing, you basically have to click on that.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
If we take into account this man's past comments on the comic book movie genre, this praise for a movie like Deadpool might sound a bit jarring. But if I know 5-time Oscar winner Francis Ford Coppola like I think I do, then I think I can explain this. Remember back when Coppola's peer Martin Scorsese said that Marvel movies were the equivalent of theme park rides, and talked about how he didn't like how they take focus away from smaller films. Something that I agree with, by the way.
Fuck me, right?
So this led to more media outlets baiting legendary directors into this conversation just so they would have a headline to print the next day on their website. So naturally, the next person to be baited into this conversation about the current state of modern cinema is the man who directed the greatest film ever made, Francis Ford Coppola. Now, Coppola was a little more harsh in his criticism, but that doesn't make his opinion any less valid. He once referred to comic book movies as despicable for their generic and formulaic style of storytelling.
That makes sense.
But apparently not all comic book movies are a source of contention with the director. He recently said of 2016's Deadpool, "I like Deadpool, I thought that was amazing. Cinema is supposed to illuminate contemporary life and make us understand what's going on. So, we need the artist to give us a vision of what's going on." Now, it would have been easy for him to dismiss a movie like Deadpool if he took it at surface value. But Coppola clearly recognizes the biggest thing that separates a movie like Deadpool from, say, everything in the MCU. And that, of course, is a unique vision.
No shit.
Deadpool, love it or hate it, is unlike any other comic book movie that came out around that time or since. Some may say that James Gunn is trying to replicate that success, but I would argue that his work is considerably less interesting and actually more juvenile than Deadpool, if you can believe it. I'm sure that the R rating helped Deadpool's case in Francis Ford Coppola's eyes, because it's not limited in what it can do because of that, and also more in line content-wise with something that I think Francis Ford Coppola would enjoy.
Just when I thought I was out, they pulled me back in.
But I think the biggest reason that Deadpool connected with people, and even Coppola, is that it doesn't abide by the generic superhero or comic book movie formula that we are accustomed to seeing. Yes, it was surprising and shocking to see a story like this being told, but it was also a breath of fresh air and a source of variety in a genre that so desperately needed it at the time, and still does.
Oh, you're right. And when you're right, you're right. And you're always right.
This is the same reason that I personally look at some of the Fox X-Men movies in a kinder light than I do anything in the MCU. If I'm putting it in simple terms about why I prefer them, it's just because they are different. And they aren't really bogged down by the same studio meddling that has this compulsion to make everything look and feel the same. Ryan Reynolds and Tim Miller were allowed to execute their vision, which is what good filmmaking is all about.
But why?
And this is the same reason I don't believe a character like Deadpool can thrive under the Disney Marvel Studios banner. Because there will always be someone who will tell you what you cannot do or say, or why you should be doing something else instead. You just don't have the same creative freedoms under the Disney Marvel Studios banner, and you never will. Francis Ford Coppola is smart enough and knows enough about cinema to point out a unique situation when he sees one. And that's exactly what he's doing here.
I'm too old for this shit.
If only Disney and Marvel Studios place faith in the directors that they choose for their projects, maybe to express themselves more genuinely instead of trying to make everything fit within their formula, then maybe some MCU films would be praised by legendary directors instead of being criticized by them. So let me know what you thought about all this in the comments down below. As always, please like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, hit that bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time right here on Real Shift. Thanks for watching. Peace out.
Y'all be cool. Right on.